As Canada Day 2017 approaches, we continue to uncover the various aspects of the country of Canada, in this case, the military power. The institution of the Canadian Armed Forces responsible for the sea is known as the Royal Canadian Navy, or the RCN. The Canadian Army is responsible for the land, and the Royal Canadian Air Force, the RCAF, is responsible for the air. The Commander-in-Chief of the Canadian Armed Forces is currently the reigning Canadian monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, and she's represented by the Governor-General of Canada. From there, the Canadian Armed Forces is led by the Chief of the Defence Staff.
Seeing this bridge cut the way it is, that's a professional military act to drop that bridge.
Welcome back to another episode of FTD Facts. My name is Leroy Kenton, and this is a channel where we like to explore everything and everything from countries to people, religion, all documented right here on FTD Facts. So if you guys have any suggestions for any future videos, I'd love to know what they are down below in the comments. This is also our third episode in our military power series, so we have a playlist at the end of this video that you can check out to see all the videos in the series. Currently, at the time of filming this video, Canada has a total population of 36,613,967 people. On the global scale, Canada is ranked 25th in terms of military power. The available manpower in Canada is 16 million people. Current active frontline personnel is 95,000, and active reserve personnel totals at 51,000 people. Now, in terms of the land systems in the Canadian Armed Forces, they have 80 tanks, 3,004 armed fighting vehicles, 161 towed artillery, but currently Canada has no multiple launch rocket systems, but I know it's something that they are looking into getting. As we move now from the land up to the air, Canada has a total of 414 aircrafts, and that includes 60 fighters and interceptors, 64 fixed-wing attack aircrafts, 215 transport aircrafts, 141 trainer aircrafts, and 168 helicopters. Now, when we move over to the Navy on the sea, Canada is very lacking here. The total naval strength is at 63, with 12 frigates, I said it right, 4 submarines, and 20 coastal defense crafts. Canada doesn't have any aircraft carriers, no destroyers, and no corvettes. So let's talk about the logistics now in the Canadian Armed Forces. This is the ability to move men from one place to another, as well as equipment from one place to another during combat. Canada's labor force that allows this to be possible totals at 19,420,000 people. Their merchant marine strength stands at 181.
We got an obstacle on the right side. Hey, check underneath the bed.
Canada has 12 major ports and terminals. They have a total of 1,042,300 kilometers of roadway coverage, as well as 46,552 kilometers of railway coverage. Currently, the total amount of serviceable airports in Canada total at 1,467. Now, in terms of Canada's total defense budget, that number totals at $15,500,000,000 US dollars. That translates to around the ballpark of 19 million Canadian dollars. And currently, this defense budget is made up of 1% of Canada's GDP. Now, when it comes to the future of Canadian Armed Forces, there are two major debates going on. On one side, people know that Canada is relatively secure when it comes to peace and safety, but it's a concern that that sort of mindset of relative safety will put a damper on the growth and progress of the military specifically. Because, hey, Canada's safe and secure, right? But the other side argues that, sure, yeah, although Canada is safe and secure, considering the location where it is in North America and the size of Canada, so Canada doesn't really have anything to worry about in terms of defense, so they should focus more on peacekeeping initiatives, and they suggest that the Canadian Armed Forces should learn to do less with less. Now, it's true that Canada enjoys a great island of safety because it's far away from what's happening in other parts of the world, including Syria and other places considered to be danger zones. On top of that, Canada has a great relationship with their only neighbor, pretty much, the United States. And you know, I've always said too that it's kind of great that the western tip of Canada has Alaska there. That's the United States territory, so in case Russia decides to invade Canada, they gotta go through American territory. Yeah, maybe that's also a little bit of the mindset of the relative security that we Canadians have. So if that course is taken and the Canadian Armed Forces continue to say, okay, we don't need such a massive military, we can keep it a little bit more modest, it doesn't necessarily mean that Canada will lose its relevance to the other parts of the world. On one side, it said that it can actually help safeguard Canada's ability to conduct missions at home and overseas.
Okay! Launch your flag! No! No! You got guys right here!
The plan would be to make the military more efficient by restructuring the whole force. Even if it is a smaller force, there's a possibility there that it can still be sustainable. As well as Canada's impact on the world has never really been through military force.
Small room!
But more so, Canada's peacekeeping image has influenced the world. The first Canadian peacekeeping mission, even before the UN became official, was back in 1948, and that was a mission to the Second Kashmir conflict between Pakistan and India. And also, prior to Canada's role in the Suez Canal crisis, that was when Egypt in late 1956 invaded Israel, followed by the UK as well as France. Canada was actually viewed to be very insignificant in the world, but Canada's role in that conflict established some credibility for them, and Canada was then viewed as a nation that fought for the common good of all nations. And up until the year 1989, Canada participated in every single UN peacekeeping initiative.
Canada is a middle power country. It's sought to find a role for itself in the international community. Being an enforcer or a colonizer is not something that's inherent in the Canadian nature.
Currently, the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has created a new defense policy, and this is expected to offer a long-term vision for the military over the next several decades.
We'll also take a good, hard look at the Canada First defense strategy and figure out what works, what doesn't work, and what might need to be changed or improved. No matter what, we need to ensure that we can continue to make a meaningful contribution to peace and security in the world while protecting Canadian sovereignty.
And it focuses a lot on very important areas such as intelligence and special operations forces. It also aims to improve recruitment, retention, as well as training. And Justin Trudeau's government also believes that if they continue to strengthen the core of the Canadian military, especially when it comes to gender inequality and just dealing with things like that, if that's a priority, then Canada's military will be very strong, although relatively small. So that concludes this episode on Canada's military power. I'd love to know your thoughts about anything mentioned in this episode, any new information that you may have, and do you believe that Canada still should go out and push their peacekeeping image, or say, you know what, it's time to change things up, let's invest heavily in our armed forces, let's expand our military like crazy, let's beef up our nation, because who knows, we could actually be invaded one day. I'd love to know what all you other fellow Canadians are thinking. Now before we go, just got a couple updates. I gotta let you know about our mailing list. It's on our webpage right now, ftddaily.com. So when you go over there, you'll see in the right-hand sidebar our mailing list. We're going to be sending anyone that joins our mailing list a copy of our production schedule, so you'll know exactly what videos we're working on every single month, and it allows you to contribute to those videos. You can offer your suggestions, submit facts, or you can just simply look at the schedule for your own curiosity. So join our mailing list. The link to that is down below. As well as this episode of FTD Facts was brought to you by Grammarly.com. Now, Grammarly is the leading software for improving your written English. You can also install that for free. The link is down below. Or if you want, you can also purchase the upgrade for more features. Yeah, it's worth it. As unrest in the world continues to grow, Canada continues to position itself as a major player in the quest for peace among the nations and aim to safeguard the lives and freedoms of all Canadians for generations to come. As I mentioned earlier in this video, here's a playlist of all the countries that we've documented their military power. We have all the episodes in a nice playlist for you. Or to make it simple, here's our first episode that we did in the series on Russia's military power. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in another episode.